All right, so another week in the markets has just been completed. This week in this video, I'm going to analyze the US 30 chart and tell you what's going on for next week. However, I just wanted to start off by showing you another week in the markets. I've got my payout eligible in the next couple of days, which I'm going to wait for, not trade the account until I get paid. Let's just quickly take a look at my overall payouts. I've had roughly about $16,000 in payouts, as well as having, and I'll show you all the accounts that I've taken. I'll show you all the payouts I've had over the last couple of months. On this account overview, as you can see, I've spent $439. I've been refunded over $439 as well. So I've spent zero, as well as having been paid out $16,000. So you can see that I've got a massive return on investment, probably over 20x my return, if my maths is correct. Approaching 20x when I get my next payout. So I am really a profitable trader. I haven't had any missed payouts as of now. I've been consistently returning on average 2 to 3% every week with my first payout, which was after the first profit split. After 21 days, I got a massive $8,000 payout. So I'm currently massively up. In the next couple of weeks, I do intend on buying another 400k account with, FTMO to try and scale my capital. And hopefully we can complete this series by the end of the year, showing how I'm going to get from $0 in funding to $1 million in funding with no money spent. And that's going to be true if I get all my accounts with, a refund fee after completing the evaluation. Let's get onto the US 30 chart and let's discuss what's going to happen over the next week. So in case you hadn't watched any of my prior videos, I talked about the market trading in a sideways range, which we did. Price, when trading in the range, tends to bounce from a discount to a premium, back down to a discount, back up to a premium, back down to a discount. So we've been expecting the market to reach this equal high level and bounce off it, which we did get. After that, we've seen price, ranging, but we're making lower lows. So the market is tending to go down and continue to go down, even though we're having little bounces in between to try and confuse people in the markets. While we're having these little bounces, we're also having liquidity levels being built up. We had this one right here. And that was earlier in the week. This was set on the Monday, which hasn't yet been swept. So we will be expecting price to target this level again at some point. And this is going to be perfect for what's going to lead up to my next trade idea. So pay attention. So we had this liquidity level set up on, I think this was on Thursday, and we had price bounce all the way up to it, sweep the liquidity, however, present some more liquidity at this level as we failed to do two things. We failed to reach this level of liquidity that was unswept from Monday, as well as leaving some more liquidity at this area right here, because as you can see, price failed to, sweep the highs of this level right here. So what is my base case for next week? So for next week, because we're trading in a range at this current moment in time, it's going to be important that we target the low of this range. And once we do target the low of this range, I'm expecting price to come down and sweep our levels of liquidity for buyers to be presented the opportunity to have their stop losses taken, and institutions will be able to target these buyers' stop losses. So as you can imagine, all the people who positioned in this area right here and all the people who positioned in this area right here, looking for long trades, will have their stop losses placed right underneath these lows. So I'm expecting price to target these lows to take out the retail traders who thought this was a perfect place to position if they were trading a simple support and resistance level. They would see this as support. Their stop losses will be taken. And then the real people who trade with these concepts, these institutional investors who trade with these concepts, they'll see this as an opportunity to buy the market from the stop losses of retail traders and retail investors. So once we see price pull back down into this area, we should see some sort of consolidation or a rally higher following the consolidation. That being said, there is a chance that price continues lower in an attempt to target lower levels of liquidity resting right at this level. So it's going to be important to see what happens next week, because if we do get a breakout to the downside, we have liquidity at lower levels to target. That being said, in this current situation, the lower the market goes, the better the buying opportunity will be. And I'm not sure what news is going to be the catalyst for this. In my last few videos in late May, I was talking about price rebounding at these equal highs. I didn't know what the catalyst would be. It ended up being the Iran versus Israel war that's currently taking place in the Middle East, which gave the market some fear, and that's what caused the markets to go down. There's always a catalyst that determines the decline into whatever levels we see on the chart. So when I see the market presenting levels of liquidity and I see the market being very bullish as we approach equal highs, I tend to see and I tend to expect some sort of catalyst to propel market down and to shift sentiment. And what sentiment is simply what market participants overall are believing the market to do in the short to medium term. So if there's bullish sentiment, that means the market believes that the price is going to go higher, and we needed negative news to shift sentiment downwards, which is what we had last week. Perfect. However, we haven't yet reached our target. So what I'm expecting to see is for price to continue our negative sentiment. And if we do continue it at this level, I'm expecting us to start seeing some buying pressure. However, if sentiment remains extra bearish, we could see price pull back to even lower levels. And if it gets terrible, if it gets worse than that, we could go as far down as here before seeing price bounce aggressively in an attempt to target our levels of liquidity, which we have not yet swept. And that was on our hourly chart. We had this level Monday's liquidity for the high. We saw that present on Monday. We saw it build up some more liquidity on Tuesday, on Wednesday, and on Friday. On Thursday, we just had a rally to sweep out previous liquidity. However, we haven't yet seen price sweep out our liquidity for this area here. So if we get a decline over the next few days, the next few trading sessions, wherever price declines to, we'll find an amazing opportunity to buy the market back up in targeting our level of liquidity that is still resting here. When the market presents levels of liquidity like this and hasn't swept it, it just tells us that when we do end up sweeping price to the upside, we should have a liquidity run. And that would look like a strong upward move to continue the upward trend in quite some aggressive fashion, because we're building liquidity on the downside. As retail investors and retail traders begin to believe that the market is potentially going to go down. So this is the difference between a retail trader and an institutional trader. Retail traders, they don't follow liquidity. They don't know where the liquidity is, and they end up being the liquidity. Me in this situation, I'm looking for an opportunity to buy the market up after we sweep the liquidity on the low side in an attempt to target liquidity on the higher side. And just to complete this video off, if we add our moving averages and we remove all our drawing tools, we can see that, we've got a 20-day moving average cross over the 50-day moving average. We can see that it's curved to the upside. So all we're looking for now is our momentum to be given to us in the form of liquidity being swept at these lows. And once liquidity is swept, we should see an aggressive run of price to just go higher in aggression. I hope you enjoyed this video and found value in the content. If you did, definitely hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.